Okay. Welcome to the Monday, September 18th, regular business board meeting of the Board of School Directors. Before I move to audience recognition, I'd like to read a statement on behalf of the board on our LMEA negotiations. I want to take a moment before we begin and speak directly to parents and other members of our community who are here this evening. As a parent and a member of this community, I've been committed to ensuring that all of our children have the high-quality education that our community is known for. That quality costs money, and this board has asked our taxpayers to support that education year after year. As we begin our negotiations with LMEA in January, a cloud of uncertainty hung over us because of the litigation challenging our ability to raise taxes to the extent necessary to support our educational mission. As a result, we began our negotiations with a proposal which we believed protected our staff and was fiscally responsible in light of the results of the litigation. We asked LMEA to continue to work under the terms of the current agreement without change, with all terms including salary increases and bonus payments continuing for an additional year. It was our sincere desire to have this school year proceed without any disruption or concerns that can come when there is no labor agreement in place, while we dealt with the issues arising from the litigation and other issues like our significant enrollment growth. As of now, that offer has not been accepted. The resolution of an agreement with LMEA is an important, immediate priority for me and the entire Lower Merion School District Board of School Directors. We continue to make every effort to achieve a fair and appropriate contract. I know many of you are here tonight to express your support for our teachers and staff. We also support our teachers and staff, and that support is demonstrated by our actions. Our teachers are on average the highest paid in our state. No district in our area comes close to matching the top salaries of our teachers. We value our teachers and are in court fighting for the ability to be able to pay them and continue the programs that make people want to live here and send their children to our schools. Our support staff are also highly compensated, and all LMEA members receive excellent health and pension benefits. We provide significant support to our teachers with professional development and payments toward advanced degrees. We are proud of the number of our teachers who also have doctorate degrees. We support a collaborative, collegial negotiation process. We will continue to meet with LMEA. We have a meeting scheduled, in fact, later this week, and we will continue to keep you informed of the process. So before moving on to public comment, I want to ask Mr. Copeland to respond to a number of questions that have been raised, particularly at the Facilities Committee meeting and during the summer months regarding our look for large parcels of land to accommodate increasing enrollment, particularly the Islamic Center. So, Mr. Copeland, would you give us a brief update on where we are with that?
Certainly, Dr. Van Lynch. And let me also say that on next Monday, September 25th, we're going to have a meeting dedicated to rolling out the district needs assessment and looking at where we are with facilities at that time. Sometime last spring, a number of people suggested that we take a look at the Islamic Foundation out on Montgomery Avenue in Villanova as a possible site for a school. Our agent contacted the folks there around June, about the middle of June, it says June 12th here, and tried to get an appointment to visit the site to see whether this was appropriate. Now, if you're not familiar with it, if you head out west on Montgomery Avenue and you get out just past the Devereaux Center on your right, up about, I guess, a quarter of a mile more, you'll see a driveway that goes up into a large estate. I think it was a Clothier estate at one time. And that's the facility. And we certainly were concerned because of the distance from the general population and the population density of the district. But suffice to say, over the summer, several attempts were made to try and get out there. We didn't hook up with the owner and the broker until this past Friday. So we visited the center with our agent, the administration, and their agent. So there are some challenges with this site, not the least of which is its location. The major challenge is the slope. A significant part, and let me hasten to say, we just saw it Friday. Mr. Ganan and we got some plans today, so we're still taking a look at it. Our quick look suggests that the slope of the property in the front is fairly significant, and that causes some problems. Now, that's not in and of itself a game changer. Both Mr. Ganan and I are familiar with construction where you can build into the side of the hill. The problem is, if any suggestion that this would be, you could get playing fields, and the group that recommended this to us recommended it as a 5/8 building. If you can get playing fields with that kind of a slope, it would be very, very difficult. If you move up to the top of the hill, you'll see a really large pad. I can't remember the exact size of the square footage, but a fairly large mansion, I guess, the top of the hill. It's in not the best of shape. If you were going to use anything for a field, you'd have to the mansion would have to go. Folks pointed out the fact that there's a soccer field to the side of that. It's not regulation, and it's not only not regulation, you wouldn't be able to put a track around it. So it's a usable field, it's not really a regulation soccer field. So that's a challenge. There would need to be a complete demolition of the buildings that are existing there. And the concern we have is that we're hearing that it's under consideration to move from a Class 2 to a Class 1 historical site. So if it's a Class 2 historical site, I'm looking at Mr. Ganan there, we could tear it down. If it's a Class 1, we would have to leave it as is. You could fix up the inside, but you'd have to leave the facility as is. He's shaking his head yes. The problem is we would be looking at that for field space. So if it gets that designation, that becomes a problem. There is an old gym. At the facilities meeting, folks said, well, it's like a field house. It's not really. It's an actual gym. It's not in a condition that we would use. And again, we would need the field space, and we would have to take that down. I asked Mr. Morgan. I said, I'm going to make a guess at the cost of demolition, and you tell me, my uneducated guess, your educated guess. We're looking like between about $800,000 to $1 million to take down the structures and take them away. It's also zoned in R1, which is, I'm told, the most restrictive zoning in terms of impervious surfaces. So, none of these are entirely completely non-starters, but that along with the location, even though it's 20 acres, makes it look less likely. We're still looking at it. We just got some site plans today. Mr. Ganan's going to take a look at those. We have to take a look. They have a cell tower there. Some people are real skittish about cell towers, and we don't know what the lease situation with that would be and where that would go. So so we're still looking at it. I should say that on the way to the location, we stopped off at Ashbridge Park and took a walk around there. It's a beautiful park, but it would be a better location. There is a historic house there that is also looking to go from a Class 2 to a Class 1, but it's a fairly small house. So you sort of have this kind of situation that we have at Ballackinwood Middle School. It's closer to a population density. It's much flatter terrain, generally speaking, and it's 26 acres as opposed to 20 acres. So some folks have mentioned that to me in the past, and I think that also has some legitimacy. So that's a quick overview of our inspection of the facility, and we're going to continue to look into it.
Thank you, Mr. Copeland. We'll now move to audience recognition on agenda items only. If you're interested in providing public comment, if you could sign in with Ms. LaPera and come to the podium to speak. There is a 3-minute time limit, and if you could give us your name and generally where you reside in the district. Thank you.
Several people have already signed up, so I'm going to go ahead and read those. Ms. Broderson, Mr. Carrara, I think I said it right, and Mr. Cleven, We are considering the two statements that you just read as being agenda items, or no?
That's fine.
Okay.
If speakers could be sure to be up front so we can move person to person, thank you.
Jane Broderson, Penn Valley, on behalf of Save Lmsd. Thank you for your service. There are many people in this room who care deeply about protecting our strong public schools. Teachers, parents, and many others who understand the concept that strong public schools benefit everyone by contributing to an educated populace and by keeping our property values strong. If we care about protecting our public schools, we are encouraging people to please read the first FAQs on our website, savelmsd.com, and sign our petition there to help prevent the lawsuit against our public schools from being certified as a class action. This petition has a very specific legal purpose. Our attorney, who happens to be a class action expert, says that if the plaintiffs succeed in certifying their case as a class action, they will then be able to bushwhack a much easier pathway for pulling millions of dollars out of our public schools. Teachers, Penguin families, and everyone else, please understand that until we block the class action piece of this lawsuit with our petition, we will be facing great budgetary uncertainty, an uncertainty that can prevent LMSD from giving you what you want. Please ask yourselves, is a potential $200 tax refund worth starving our schools of critical funding at a time when we need it most? We are faced with the largest enrollment growth in the entire Commonwealth, and it is showing no signs of abating anytime soon. We are all in this together, and we must all stand together. The time to hang back in the shadows and hope for the best has passed. Please make your voices heard loud and clear by joining our petition. Save LMSD. I'm going to have it right side up this time. Save LMSD. Thank you. Thank you.
Sure. I'm Jasvi Khurana, Penn Valley. I came to support the teachers getting a contract. We all say thanks. We all say we love our educational system, we love our schools, we love our community, but I think, how do you value teachers? How do you value education? What number do you put on it? That's the question. How do you attract people to come to LMSD to serve as teachers? When you ask hedge fund managers, justify your salary, they say, well, we have to attract the best to our profession, right? Why not teachers? It's the same thing. We often... we compare our salaries with, in the US we're very insular. We compare our salaries with districts nearby, some that pay less, often that pay less. That's not the right comparison. The comparison should be on a more global scale. How do you attract the best to come here? Compare with people who do more. Compare with Scandinavian countries, with South Korea, with Japan, with Singapore. There's a lot of comparisons that you could do. There's a lot of non-monetary perquisites that's given by a lot of other countries and communities. Perquisites like housing, cars, respect, societal positions. In India, it's Mata Pita Guru Devam, which means the parents, the teacher, and God. Teachers are above parents and just below God. So I would say, we've gained a lot from them. Yes, house values and so forth, but I think the issue today is that if you don't do well by the teachers, it's a long-term problem. 15 years from now, if you treat the teachers shabbily now, will people want to come here? There's always a way. Where there's a will, there's a way. There's a lot of things you can cut. I know there's a lawsuit going on. I know there's a lot of people coming here. The body starves all other organs when it is in a position of starving to preserve the brain. We've got to do the same. There's always a way of cutting things in order to preserve teacher salaries. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Fred Clevin, Marion Station, Penn Elementary School, class of 1973, Ardmore Junior High, and Lower Marion graduate, 1979. I come to you with a little bit different angle this evening. Besides my day job as a sales rep, I'm also honored to be the founder of Philadelphia Treats for Troops, which is a grassroots, all-civilian, all-volunteer organization dedicated to shipping care packages to service members that are deployed overseas. And we've done this since 2006, many to local husbands in the district and fathers. Two to come to mind, Captain Michael O'Neill in Narberth, and I think past board member, Lieutenant Colonel Ted Lawrence. And I would like to report that I'm very proud that this year we surpassed over 4,400 care packages since 2006. And since we started in 2006, the teachers in this district and staff members have been some of our most loyal supporters and volunteers. We couldn't do what we do without them. From the elementary schools decorating our boxes, to the middle school students moving boxes and organizing collections, to all the high schools that have gotten involved, like the Build On groups at both of the high schools that have been involved in all of our packing events. Without them, we wouldn't be where we are. And I did some quick math before I came tonight, and over 1,800 of our boxes were as a result of the teachers and staff in our district and their tireless work after school, in the evening, and also on the weekends when they, I'm sure, would much rather be with their family, but they dedicate their time. My friend, General Gronsky, said to me one time that the Army ethos, the Army, one of the things they teach you in the Army is selfless service, which means giving up to others more than yourself. I think I said that right. Selfless service. Well, I think our teachers do that on a daily basis, and we are the beneficiaries of that ethos. And I'm honored to live in the township, and I'm honored to be here tonight to support them and hope that they get the contract that they are trying to get. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Martha Keon, and I'm a parent of 3 boys who go to Penn Valley Elementary and now Welsh Valley Middle School. We bought a house in Lower Marion School District when our twins were 2 and our older one was 4, because we wanted them to have the high-quality public school education that we had in the communities that we grew up in. We've been very fortunate to experience firsthand excellent teachers in Penn Valley and in Welsh Valley. These teachers not only work during their workday, but time and again call us after school, email us during the day, make time to meet with us. And our kids aren't easy. They're bright, difficult kids. And they've needed help on support on both ends of the spectrum, you know, from the speech support up through gifted. They've participated in the music program. They've been frequent flyers at the nurse's office. One of them snuck out of language arts and hid in the boys' bathroom. We said, Alex, you know, the boys' bathroom, that's probably not very nice. He said, actually, Mom, the custodians at Penn Valley do a really nice job. So from soup to nuts, our experience has been great. And we want to be here to support the teachers because high quality comes at a price. And I agree that maybe our teachers are the highest paid in the state. They should be. We all moved here. Many of us moved here because of the high quality of teachers. We want them to have a fair contract. We want to attract people from outside of teaching to come and be our teachers. And we've experienced at least two off the top of my head that I can think of, two excellent teachers who came to teaching from a first career. They decided they wanted to try teaching. And the compensation and benefits in our district enable that to happen. And we want that to continue. Our oldest one is only halfway through. We've got a lot more years here in Lower Merion, and we want to support high-quality teachers.
Harold Cole, Penn Valley. I'm the other half of the team. So I'm going to present somewhat of a different perspective. I'm a professor of economics at Penn, so I thought I'd present an economics perspective. Does paying more get you more? And there's a large amount of economic evidence that school districts that pay more get better credentialed teachers, they get teachers with more advanced degrees, and that the combination of salary plus credentials and educational experience translate into higher outcomes. There's actually very impressive evidence as to what the impact of high-quality teachers are on people's lifetime earnings. Very surprisingly large. Okay, fine. So then the question becomes, sorry, I got a cold. You know, what exactly does fair, compensation, or competitive, I would say, rather, competitive compensation translate into? If we look at nominal salaries of full-time people with college degrees or more, I suspect I'm not telling anyone, new news, which is the decade between 2006 and 2016 was bad. Salary increases were about 0.8%. Same for people with advanced degrees. However, if we look in the most recent period, the data between 2015 and 2016, salary increases increased a lot. They went up, or at least substantially more, 2.4 and 2.9% for people with advanced degrees. So what I want to come away from that is suggesting is that, the competitive pressure to have excellent teachers has probably gone up, and that's something that the school board is going to have to deal with. And that's it.
Good evening. My name is Elizabeth Rappaport. My husband, Daniel Fife, and I have lived in Marion Station for 28 years. Our 3 children attended local public schools and all graduated from Lower Merion High School. Their teachers gave them excellent academic preparation, fine training in music and art, and coached them in sports. In addition, as many teachers do now, our children's teachers were mentors for clubs and service groups through which our children learned the value of community engagement. From Young Writers Workshops to an art students club teaching art to children living in transitional housing to the Straight and Gay Alliance, dedicated educators gave time and energy outside their classrooms to help our children and their peers pursue issues that they valued. Our district's teachers are highly educated and experienced. An overwhelming majority has taught here for 13 years or more and has reached the top salary level. 92% of these teachers have advanced degrees. That is why the average salary for our teachers is slightly over $99,000 per year. These are critical facts to consider when we discuss teachers' compensation and compare it to figures for other districts. A less experienced and less educated teaching staff would also be less expensive, but could not deliver the high-quality education that has enriched our children's lives and enhanced our property values. To attract and retain the types of teachers we now have, our district must offer competitive compensation that honors educators' experience, dedication, and accomplishments. Over the past 7 years, the student population grew from a little over 7,000 to well over 8,000 without a commensurate increase in teaching and support staff. This has resulted in larger classes and greater demands for teachers to work after hours. During the same 7-year period, our teachers and staff have received minimal salary increases. The contract the board made with the LMEA 2 years ago expired in June. In April and again in late August, the board proposed a contract that would have provided salary increases to only 36% of the teaching staff. The remaining teachers, those already at their pay maximum, would effectively have had a pay decrease. The LMEA declined these proposals and the school board ceased negotiations, opting to continue with the status quo. Yet in February of last year, the board made a contract with the district administrators that included pay increases with fair adjustments to maximum salaries. This, in the face of the board's failure to remain at the table with the LMEA, has been a blow to morale among teachers and staff who interact daily with students and parents. We willingly pay our school taxes so that children living in our community can have the opportunities like those our children enjoyed. I urge the board to pass a fair contract with the LMEA and to treat our dedicated teachers and staff with the respect they deserve.
I hope that didn't take away from my time. Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to address you. I'm sorry, my name is Lmsb, which is why I've been known all my life as Butch. I'm a 42-year resident of Narberth. For 39 years, I was a proud member of this staff, and I've been a local realtor for 29 years. I want to begin by thanking y'all for doing the selfless and often thankless job that you do. You truly are appreciated. I've been reading a lot about this issue, and we just heard it from the president this evening, that Lower Merion teachers are the highest paid teachers in the state. The thing that baffles me is teacher compensation is not a national issue, it's not a state issue, it's a local issue. Whom amongst us here would approach our attorneys and ask them to reduce their fees because of what our sisters pay in Scranton? And whom of us would approach our cardiologist to reduce his fee because of what our brother pays in Sioux City? And speaking of Iowa, as a realtor, we are often amused when 90% of the relocation people that come to our area proudly state that they sold their 6-bedroom McMansions on 5 acres for $300,000 and then are shocked to see that they cannot purchase a 3-bedroom, 1-bath twin in our township on the 0 lot for the same amount of money. It's all local. I've been married for 39 years to Jacqueline Smith, who was a teacher, an elementary teacher here, also in Lower Merion for 38 years, and every night she spent 6 hours preparing for the next day. That's what all these people do. She was not alone. We have the most highly educated, most dedicated, most devoted staff of anyone, and I think they deserve to be compensated accordingly. Thank you.
Mr. Sanker, Ms. Seltzer, are you in? Okay. I have Jerry Sanker next.
Hello, I'm Jerry Sanker. I live in Wynwood. I graduated from Belmont Hills School in 1962, Welsh Valley in 1965, Harrod in 1968, and I'm the administrator of the popular Facebook group Lower Merion Politics as Usual. And I know the few of the school board members are on the group. I encourage all of you to join our group so you can see what the community is saying. I have a question for the board. We had two posts on our group about 2 weeks ago. They were dueling emails. One was from the Lower Merion School Board, and one was from the LMEA. The Lower Merion School Board post basically told everybody what a generous offer you had made, and the one from the LMEA said what a very ungenerous offer you had made. And that's pretty much all we know. My question to the board is, why don't you just post a PDF of the current proposal so that we can all see what you have proposed and we can judge accordingly? Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Adrian Seltzer, Lower Merion. I think that's important, that we are all from Lower Merion. What neighborhood we're from does not matter. We are a community. And I think that is something that is important for all of you to understand, our school board and our audience. Putting a Band-Aid on a problem without first researching best practices only solves a problem if you get lucky. This is what the school board is doing by only addressing the symptoms instead of looking for a long-term, cost-effective cures to the problems affecting our school. We need solutions that will minimize disruption for the children, that will preserve field space, and will keep class sizes small. While the school board has hired demographers, architects, and so on, they've never hired a strategic planning or logistics firm to assess the long-term solutions or locations to ensure that our tax dollars are not wasted. This way we have more money to pay the teachers. 7 years ago, Lower Merion School District built 2 high schools that demographers are now saying are too small. We don't want you repeating the same mistakes. So please consider, I understand nobody is an expert at everything. That's why there are experts around. We don't try and figure this out on our dime. Get somebody that knows about situations, about excessive growth in the school district. And thank you.
Let me just respond to Mrs. Seltzer. The district does do strategic planning, but as a school district, and I've said this a number of times, we're unique among many government agencies in that we have to be responsive to the decisions that other people make. We don't get to say, here's an ordinance that only allows certain people in certain areas. We don't get to say that we're going to zone certain situations in certain ways. Municipal, state, and local governments do that. School districts have to be responsive. And so there was a time when the Lower Merion School District had numbers well over 10,000 students. It went down to a size of 6,000 students. We are now going up to a size of, today, the number was 8,590 students. That's our 10th day number. Last year, this time, it was 8,382, and that's 208 students gained. That 8,590 is almost dead on where I think our demographers said we ought to be. In terms of the high schools, as we indicated in a number of sessions last year, one of the concerns that we have at the high school is the fact that students are doubling and tripling up on the number of science sessions that they're taking. We think that's good. We think that that shows that our programs are meeting their needs and they very much want to have those strong situations. And so we're taking a look at the long-term needs. So I would respectfully disagree and indicate that the district is doing as much long-term and short-term planning as we can. Thank you.
Is there a strategic plan somewhere we can see?
We're not going to go back and forth. Thank you, Ms. Seltzer. You can send additional, you can speak at the end of the meeting, or you can send additional comments to communitycomments@lmsd.org. Next speaker, please.
Mark Hasharia, I think I said. Tanya Schreiber, Terry Starr.
Yeah, my name is Mark Hirshhorn, and I live in Villanova. And I want to talk about two topics. I'll talk about the first one that will cause less angst within the group. The Islamic Foundation, which is right down the street from me. I'm not sure where, you take a tour of the facility and you're talking about the slopes and so on. But if you take a look at the back of the property, there is a huge parcel of land which the neighbors, ever since the mosque acquired it, we tried to get them to donate that parcel of land to the township to be used as a park. They constantly refused. That land could be used for a track or a field of some sort. It's not that, it's fairly level, and most of the property, if you had to, you could use a bulldozer to level it off and do whatever. The only issue, obviously, is if the zoning gets changed and it becomes a historic site. And you're talking about Boone Hall, which was built and money donated by Pat Boone. It's in, as you mentioned, Mr. Copeland, it is not in great condition. Hopefully, it won't get zoned that way, so you can tear it down. They say it's at the other end of the township, but all of our kids who live in that neighborhood have been bused to the various schools for years. My kids went to Gladwin, Welsh Valley, Harridan, and Lower Merion. And so we bust, and I don't want to hear about the other, the Narberth and everybody else on that other end complaining that they have to bust their kids. You're only talking a few miles. Now, the other topic I want to talk about is the contract. You talk about the fact that we are the highest paid, our teachers are the highest paid in the state of Pennsylvania. That's great. I have to tell you that the education that our kids get, it's okay. But Lower Merion Township is no longer ranked in the top schools. That's a fact. Second, you talk about how the teachers care about the kids. That's fine if you're an exceptional kid or if your kid needs help, but if you're an average kid, they seem to fall through the cracks. My youngest daughter was bullied, and it was brought up to the teachers, and she was ignored. My wife and I were ignored. We had to pull her out of Lower Merion and put her back in a private school because she was scared to death of her life, and we were scared for her. So in terms of getting a contract that's fair, I don't know what was offered to the teachers, but for these teachers to get paid in excess of 6 figures for 9 months a year and get bonused and get health care free of charge, and then on top of that, when they retire, Excuse me, I'm talking.
No, sir, you're.
And on top of that, when they retire,
sir.
they get 80% of their salary and all their benefits for life. I'm sorry, nobody else gets that.
Sir,
Mr.
thank you for your comment.
Mr. Shorn, is it? Hershorn?
Yeah.
I will respond to the Islam. We are looking at it. We took a tour. We got plans. We just simply expressed some concerns with the site in terms of how much was actually could be used. So once we get that done and we look at some civil situations, we'll have a better idea.
Thank you.
Hi, Tanya Schreiber, Penguin. In April, you guys sent an 8-page color brochure to every household in the neighborhood that said that one of your strategies for under consideration for addressing growth in Lower Merion was a new third middle school. You said that the challenges would be that there was significant middle school redistricting required, but there were also few suitable sites available in the township. Now, a year ago, this realtor listed the property and contacted every private and public education institution in the area, including you guys, and yet when we came on Thursday morning to this meeting and said who by a show of hands had ever set foot on that property, only one person said he drove by, and that's how he decided it was too hilly. It wasn't until Friday at 4:30 that anyone from the school district set foot on that lot. Now, whether or not it's the right solution, I don't know, but I cannot believe we lost a year and we just agreed to spend $1.5 million on expansion plans when we're negotiating a contract. It blows my mind. The building that you guys are talking about, the 22,000 square foot building that's currently Class 2, is currently Class 2. It sits in the middle of 15 flat acres, completely flat. So yes, there is that one slope at the front. It should not be what inhibits us from looking at this spot. The entire flat area, 15 acres, is actually larger than the Bala-Kinwood Middle School, Kinwood Elementary lot that you guys are so willing to kill more of the green space on right now. If it's not bought by us, it's going to become more homes or townhomes. There's already 2 bidders. Now, I know all of you guys have your heart in the right place and you were elected because you hold the values that this community cares about. But if, using the cardiology example, if I were to go to a hospital and I needed heart surgery, I wouldn't want someone from the board. I would want a cardiologist. Wait, and when it comes to building, you guys hire architects. When it comes to academic programs, you hire experts. What we're asking is that you go and find somebody who has done this in other districts. I know it's hard. I know that persuading people is hard. I know change is hard, but that's why you ran for roles in leadership. To push us through the change, to guide us through the change, to do what's right for this community. And that's hard, but that's what you signed up for. And yes, it is going to take some negotiation. And yes, it's going to require you to improve your relationship with the civics and with the township and with the Board of Commissioners. But that's what you guys volunteered to do. So please, keep in mind the fact that the children, the communities, and yes, even the teachers, and especially the teachers I met, deserve you guys to get the expertise that you need to make sure that you are dedicating the money not on projects that haven't been thought through, but on the things that really matter. Thank you.
So if I could respond. First of all, no independent notice was sent to the district. I don't know where that statement comes from. We did visit the property, and as I indicated Friday or Thursday, the district tried to get there earlier. We can't drive on private property. We have to get permission to go, which we did. We cannot trespass. So we're taking a look at it. As I indicated, we got plans today that are a little bit more detailed, and we'll be able to give a better idea. What I also indicated was that we also found what I think at least is another piece of property that is worth looking at. That's Ashbridge Park. It's a larger piece of property It's more flat in its terrain, and it looks like it has a better chance for building. That's all we said.
So you're gonna take a park and turn it into a school?
Terry Spar, I live in Ardmore, and disclosure, I'm running for school board. I just, I appreciate all you do. It's a thankless job that you do, and your volunteering is appreciated. I do understand the challenges with demographics and the increase and decrease of the students over the past couple of decades, and it is not an easy task to try and appeal to all the students and all the residents' concerns and issues. There is a space and demographic challenge, and I appreciate you're looking at the Islamic school. You mentioned there are a number of challenges with that property. You did not mention any of the positive aspects and of the site, and some of those I heard the other night were potentially additional space for bus parking. It is an additional 20 acres of space for the district. In lieu of building on existing sites. It also provides increased flexibility in managing student population trends, and it also has resale value. And if I recall, we had other properties in the past that when the demographics changed, we were able to sell them. So I think we have to look at the positives of that site and all the other options out there too. How do these positives compare with the other options that are on the table? How do they compare with the current plan that is being pushed through, building at Penwyn and Bala Middle on an already, what I would say is a tight space and a crowded area, which will bring more traffic, congestion, and less flexibility for future options. You mentioned Ashbridge Park. I haven't heard that before. That's interesting. I don't know if that means the township would do a swap where we would buy, the Islamic Center and then look at doing a swap. That's a very interesting option. I appreciate your thinking outside the box on that. I think the big issue here is to be able to look at an entire comprehensive plan. It sounds like there's going to be some more discussion of that on Monday. I don't think we should put the cart ahead of the horse with a $1.5 million contract for building and architectural designs without really vetting all options that are available right now and really looking at all the interests that are out there that are important for both the outstanding education of our children and a tremendous value for all the residents who pay the taxes here.
Mr. Spar, something I mentioned earlier, we're going to have another meeting on the 25th. That's next Monday evening. One of the things that we did was we put together a needs assessment over a period of time, and we'll be able to unveil that. As a matter of fact, we're hoping as it goes through its final pieces to put that on our website. I think we're shooting for Wednesday so that people will actually have it prior to the Monday meeting and you'll be able to get to see it. And I appreciate for the shout out for working outside the box. I'll take whatever I can get.
Eric Eckstein, I think, and Ozzie Guerra.
Do I get to wrap it up? Very good. One hour, okay. Good evening. Eric Eckstein. I love the Lower Merion concept, so I'll say Lower Merion. Lower Merion. 30 years resident here, and I'll start by saying I'm a product of the Philadelphia school system, okay? All the way through Drexel University. First graduating class of the High School of Engineering and Science where I met my wife, okay? That's 30 years this year. So I know what a school district looks like under challenge. I'm also a numbers guy. I'm an entrepreneur, okay? A tech entrepreneur who depends upon you to feed my business eventually because you're the resources, all of you are the resources for my business. It doesn't happen without all of you. Thank you. However, I'm a numbers guy. And I know that what we spend on per capita students is among the highest in this state, and that's fine. And I started looking around what others spend, districts like Philadelphia, and this all goes to teacher pays. How many students in the class, how much you pay per student, and what the teacher eventually gets paid. Philadelphia's are in the $9,000 per student range, and we're in the low 20s per student. I'm not going to give exact numbers. You guys know them better than I do. And I used to think that, wow, if only Philadelphia could spend what Lower Merion spends, they could be just as good as us. No, that's a fallacy. They'd need to spend more. We're getting off easy because we have an engaged community that actually helps to grow this piece. Heaven help us if we don't have an engaged community. We don't need to challenge ourselves versus other districts and other pay scales. Lower Merion needs to be the beacon for the state and for the nation for what success looks like. I just work for the challenge. I work for the challenging you to set an example, not a comparison, for what our future should be in 15 years, as the previous speaker said. Thank you for what you do.
Good evening, I'm Ozzie Garrett. We've met. I'm here to actually voice a couple of things. Most of them have been said one way or another, but they bear repeating. First, I would like to say how dismayed I was to hear that the board decided to vote on a decision to spend $1.5 million on a patchwork, a Band-Aid plan to increase a couple of schools in a solution that is going to be temporary at best and is going to create much more harm than anyone on the board really admits. And the neighborhood, at least in the case of Penguin, but I think also in the case of Bala Middle School, has been voicing up for quite some time. I've been here for only 3 years. I've been hearing that repeatedly again and again. The second, I hear you, Mr. Copeland, that you visited on a very short notice. You heard about the center on Thursday and you were there on Friday, and I applaud that. That was great. But I wonder, why was that such a long time between the previous time where you tried to contact them until you tried again? And basically what I hear is that you're trying to find a solution, and what I expect from you is to try harder. You have chosen to go into a career that puts you in a leadership position, and the board has chosen to go and run for a position that is a public leadership position. And it appears to me over and over again that the easy solution has been picked again and again. That's not why we elect you. That's not why we chose you to lead this district. We look to you to do the hard work, the difficult, the things that people are finding difficult to swallow, difficult to digest. This is why you were chosen here. This is why you were voted in. I wonder what it happens in a district where there's not so much support from the community to the board in general. And yet, I look at you and I'm disappointed. Disappointed in the way that sometimes we get answers, and disappointed in the way decisions are made. That's it. Thank you.
And our final speaker is Lauren Fenning.
No pressure. Hi, my name is Lauren Fenning. I live in Lower Merion, and I'm leading a group called Penguin Together. I read several old articles. I went back through all my notes this weekend, and I remembered something that during the candidate meet and greet at the cafetorium in Penguin, some of the incumbents that I met gave me the impression that the expansion at Penguin Elementary was going to happen. And per one of the school board members, New York City has playgrounds on their roof. Why can't Penn win? As such, I am worried the final decision will be neighborhood stabilization no matter what the survey and the needs assessment says. Given what's going on in our school district, I don't know that a new school is possible. I think you want to, and I think you know it would help, but it might be bad timing. I don't know if any serious consideration was given to shifting the overflow of Penguin students to other schools, as this would be complicated. And in fact, I worry that the overflow will actually shift in Penguin's direction. If it is neighborhood stabilization, later some might say that the circumstances force these decisions, and perhaps later, perhaps if we can hold out a bit longer, a new school will be built, giving everyone some much-needed breathing room, and allow teachers, parents, and students to be reacquainted with each other again in a smaller setting. I want to point out, however, by that time, the construction at Penguin Elementary will be complete and its neighborhood will be permanently changed. What I will never understand is the reluctance to work with the Penguin Civic Association on saving our green space, which is also our only community space. Whenever I'm tired or whenever I'm getting yelled at for pitting schools against each other and not valuing small class sizes, which none of that's true, it is this reluctance that gives me my motivation to keep going. If you want to help children, why this plan? In any case, you are a progressive school board, and I am proud of so many of the decisions made by you for this district. As a professional in the field of special education for over 20 years, I look and I am proud of the love people have for our teachers here. But this endeavor, handling overcrowding, requires a great deal of forward thinking. Small schools and small class sizes are important, and I think we can put our heads together to find short-term solutions to ease district-wide overcrowding that are innovative and fair and maybe a little fearless while you map out a long-term plans to find a new facility. I will still hold out hope that our school board can do it. Thank you.
Thank you for the last comment. I did want to say a couple things before we move to our routine board president report. Our board has worked quite a bit with Penguin Civic, so I don't want it to go on record that our facilities chair, Ben Driscoll, has attended nearly every meeting. I've attended several as well. So I think the intention to collaborate is certainly there, and so we hope that folks will continue to come to the table and we look for a compromise rather than an all or nothing. So that's that piece. And then I really want to sincerely reiterate, we certainly care about our teachers. Professionally, I'm a teacher educator, so I couldn't care more about teachers on a number of levels. I have 3 children in the district, as do many of your sitting board members, elected sitting board members. We want a fair and appropriate contract as quickly and as expedient as possible. And so we don't want it to be said tonight that we don't care about teachers, because that couldn't be further from the truth. So we appreciate what you do every day. We know it's tireless and we appreciate it. So to that end, I'll move to routine board president report. I would like to approve the minutes from the following Board of School Directors meetings: August 21st, regular business board meeting; September 11th, Education Committee and Supplementary Regular Board meeting; and accept the following committee meeting minutes: September 6th, Curriculum; September 8th, Policy; September 14th, Facilities and Purchasing. Are there questions? There are questions? Okay, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
There's second? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Copeland, superintendent update.
Thank you, Dr. Van Lynch. Just a couple of updates. Harridan chemistry teacher Brian Galvin was recently selected by the Philadelphia Eagles as a 2017 Exalta All-Pro teacher, recognizing outstanding teachers in the tri-state area for their educational drive, innovation in the classroom, community ownership, overall contributions to their students, school, and community. I'd also like to take the opportunity to congratulate Kinwood Elementary School on another Cal's Cupcakes wonderful experience. I had a chance to bring my 27-year-old son this Saturday, and he walked away with 2 boxes of cupcakes, which he probably shouldn't have done, but somebody forced them on him. So that yes, I still got things to do here. Okay, let's see, where are my human resources? Sorry. B. Oh, adjudication for residency determination. The administration recommends that the Board of School Directors approves the specially appointed hearing examiners resolution excluding students from school, removing them from the rolls of the Lower Merion School District due to lack of residency in the form presented to the board.
Are there questions? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
There's second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Now I'll move to Human Resources. The superintendent recommends that the Board of School Directors approves the attached Human Resource sections HR 1 through HR 5.
Are there questions from the board? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
There's second? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We will now have the report of the Curriculum Committee meeting by Dr. Gilbert.
Thank you. The Curriculum Committee of the Board met on September 6th. The Education meeting on September 11th summarized the topics of the CCOB meeting in detail and is on video. If anyone would like more information on these topics, they can watch the video. So I'm going to give a fairly brief summary. We had a detailed presentation and discussion of the 9th grade English curriculum revision and resources. The course has been redesigned within the larger framework of our strategic plan, with our emphasis on a transformative curriculum and student-driven schools. Specifically, the course was redesigned to include the skills and practices that constitute guaranteed experiences, thematic understandings that bind experiences and resources, opportunities for students to engage in rich literature, opportunities for students to engage with research. The process involved teachers from both high schools working through the 2016-17 year, and we had a wonderful and enthusiastic presentation from two teachers at the education meeting explaining both the process and outcomes, again, if you're interested. The redesign includes a move from a literature-based to a literacy-based framework, an integration of literacy, reading, writing, and research experiences, the use of questions rather than topics, framing each unit, and the integration of a reflective portfolio and a research experience. Other considerations that were discussed included creating common 9th grade classroom libraries for literature circles, holding a cross-building assembly to create audiences for student work, and considering field trips to attend a theater performance. As a result of the course shifts, the administration requested purchasing 2 new texts as resources for a total expenditure of $27,054. This is within the budgeted funds for curriculum, and the CCOB voted unanimously 3-0 to support the financial expenditure and move forward for full consideration, for full board consideration. We also had an update on the strategic plan. The board continues to receive monthly updates on strategic plan implementation through our CCOB meetings and regular updates during education meetings. And this is to ensure that the plan, which is a really bold and innovative plan for public education, is front and center of all of the district's work. We received an update on the communications plan for last year's annual report, which is on our website, and the highlights of which will be communicated through school-based open houses, the website, and public libraries. We reviewed the exploration and implementation last year of unit upgrades, curriculum revisions, such as the 9th grade English revisions I just discussed, envisioning elementary experience and report cards, increased physical activity at the elementary school levels, aligning the middle school schedules to allow students more choices, the development of maker spaces, the creation of genius hours, and the exploration of restorative practices, to give just a few highlights. And we are continuing to explore 3 areas, including recess and physical activities, particularly at the elementary level, health and well-being at all levels through mindfulness, and student sleep and start times. We are also beginning to explore policies around homework, graduation requirements, grading practices and restorative practices, interdisciplinary high school programs, writing centers at the high schools, student leadership conferences, ways to expand feedback to learners, and assessing the types of embedded field trips and residencies that currently exist with an eye towards guaranteeing experiences for all students. Finally, we received an update on the elementary report card pilot for 4th grade, which is part of the strategic plan. The goal of the new report card is to better align with our strategic plan and curricular goals and improve communications among teachers, parents, and students. The current and proposed report cards are going to be used simultaneously and will be evaluated for possible implementation at all grades. And there has been communication with 4th grade families that will continue at the open houses that are coming up. So those those were the updates from the CCOB meeting, and again, we got a sort of fuller presentation at the education meeting. Our next curriculum meeting is Monday, so we're switching from Wednesdays to Mondays, October 2nd at 8:30 a.m. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Dr. Goldberg.
Now, the Educational Services recommended actions, I'd like to take B through D in one motion. B, the administration recommends that the Board of School Directors approves the Harrington High School, Lower Merion High School overnight trip for the National Society of Black Engineers Junior Chapter, November 10th through 12th, 2017, to Greensboro, North Carolina. Further, the administration recommends that the Board of School Directors approves the attached quotes for the purchase of 9th grade English resource books in the not-to-exceed amount of $27,054. And finally, the administration recommends that the Board of School Directors approves the attached temporary staffing services agreement with MCIU for behavior management services through June 18th, 2018, for estimated cost of $91,800.
There are questions? Again, these were all discussed at length in the curriculum committee meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
There a second? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Under Student Services, I'd like to take items A and B in one motion. The administration recommends that the Board of School Directors approves the Student Services items as listed. Agreement for students receiving non-district educational services SS1 through SS12. And the administration recommends that the Board of School Directors approves the attached temporary staffing services agreement with the MCIU for psychological services through April 6, 2018, for an estimated cost of $61,200.
There are questions? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
There a second? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We will now have the report of the Facilities and Purchasing Committee meeting. Mr. Driscoll?
Thank you, Dr. Van Lynch. We met this past Thursday in this room, and we began, as always, reviewing and recommending for approval the list of bills. We then reviewed and recommended for approval to the following district contracts. The first one was the MCIU at $500 per day, up to approximately $61,200. A school psychologist recently retired. The district conducted a search for replacement, was unable to bring in the right person. This contract has the MCIU providing a school psychologist to fill the gap for this year. This individual from the MCIU has assisted the district in the past when other psychologists have gone out on long-term leaves. If a full replacement can be hired during the year, the number of days used under this contract would therefore be reduced. The second contract was also with the MCIU for $510 per day, up to approximately $91,800. Under this contract, the MCIU will provide a behavioral specialist to monitor, support, and make recommendations on managing student behavior. This specialist will be primarily working out of Belmont Hills and provide guidance on overall student behavioral issues, not so much one-to-one, how would you handle this particular student in this particular situation. We then moved on and reviewed and recommended for approval a services contract with Paula Singer, for a not-to-exceed amount of $15,350. Ms. Singer has assisted the district in organizing and running the Girls Leadership Conference over the past several years. In addition to this work this year, Ms. Singer will provide support to SAGE, which is a student organization of advocating for gender equality. We then reviewed and recommended for approval the following items from the purchasing report. From Superior Sign, $65,750. These are signs that will be placed around the exterior of Harrington High School to guide visitors to specific doors and areas of the building and the campus. As the building is quite large and the campus is large, these signs will be helpful for visitors not familiar with it to find where to go if only one particular door is open for a particular event. We then reviewed and recommended for approval lists of drivers supplied by third-party vendors. The district has contracts with third-party vendors who supply bus services. The drivers supplied by the vendors must pass the standard background and criminal checks. The administration has always received these checks from the vendors prior to these drivers driving our students. Under a new PA law, the board is now required to approve the specific list of drivers provided by the third-party vendors, and that's the items we looked at on Thursday. We then reviewed and recommended for approval the following change orders. For Arnold Field, a decrease in spending of $5,410.18. As part of the artificial turf replacement project this past summer, sleeves were to be installed around the perimeter of the field to support posts and netting to keep the balls in the field. After the old turf was pulled up, it was discovered that there were concrete slabs making the installation of the sleeves more difficult and expensive. New sleeves were still installed around the end zones, but not along the sidelines where the concrete slabs were discovered. Valley Kenwood Middle School, an increase of $104,175. Again, this was a roofing project over the summer, but as the old roof was repaired to lay down the new roof, additional areas of wet insulation were discovered. This increase is to cover the expense of repairing that additional damaged roof. For the District Administration Office, this building, an increase of $66,398.80. Again, we were repairing the roof here this summer. We found additional areas of wet insulation that needed to be replaced, and this increase is to cover that similar work here at this building. We then moved on to discuss information items. The first one was the Bala Kenwood Middle School, the modules that have just been in place. The 6 classrooms and bathrooms have been installed and ready for use by the first day of school this year. A sidewalk that is being required by our conditions of approval along Amherst Field should be installed in the next several months. The construction cost of the modular project is approximately $949,148, and the cost of the permanent sidewalk to support these temporary buildings is approximately $92,300. We also did discuss the Welsh Valley and Bala Kenwood Middle School cafeteria spaces. The design work is continuing with the hopes of finalizing that design and getting some bids out, hopefully in the spring and winter time, and construction over next summer. The meeting then adjourned, and we will meet again on October 19th at 8:30 in this room. Thank you.
Under the Business Office and Finance section, I'd like to take items B through D in one motion. The administration recommends, the administration recommends approving the following motions: approve the list of bills, approve the financial report for August 2017, and declare surplus equipment as surplus property and authorize its disposition thereof.
Are there questions? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
There's second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Under the Facilities and Operations, I'm going to take items A through D in one motion. As Mr. Driscoll noted, all these items were discussed in detail as noted in his report, so I'm going to take them in one motion. The administration recommends that the Board of School Directors approve the following action items: award the contract for campus wayfinding signage at Harrington High School, approve a list of contracted transportation services drivers, approve the independent consultant contract with Paul Singer for not to exceed cost of $15,350, and approve the change orders for replacing the artificial turf, athletic field at Lower Merion High School, and roof repairs and coatings at Bala Kenwood Middle School and the District Administrative Office, and all those are per the attachments.
Are there questions? Again, all discussed at length in facilities and overview by Mr. Driscoll. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
There's second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We will now have the report of the Policy Committee meeting by Ms. Robinson.
Thank you, Dr. Van Lynch. This meeting of the Policy Committee was held on September 8th in this room. We discussed for second reading policy in AR 216, Administration of Student Records. This policy in AR is not yet ready for a second reading, so we'd like to table it. Is that how we do that?
Yes, it needs to stay on the table, otherwise it has to come back all for a whole new first reading.
Okay. The changes are the result of changes in the law regarding record retention, as well as an effort to increase efficiencies in the process. Specific lengths of time of record retention are being ironed out, and the policy will be tabled until next month. Policy in AR 915, school-related organizations. Only the title of this policy is being changed since the first reading to eliminate the wording of parents and professional personnel so as to include the alumni as a group. You may recall that the change to the AR last June was to include the Alumni Association as a school-related organization as a result of efforts being undertaken concerning the implementation of the strategic plan. First readings, we read through policy in AR 200, enrollment of students, and policy in AR 202, non-resident students. The proposed changes to these policies and ARs are intended to increase clarity and describe in greater detail the process for enrollment and residency requirements. Discussion related to foster and homeless students and multiple occupant residence students. We also discussed students moving into and from the district and related documentation. These policies will be brought back next month with additional clarifications. We went through administrative regulation AR 806, child and student abuse. The regulation was updated pursuant to changes in the law that modified terms and definitions. The regulation and policy reaffirm the state law's position that it is compulsory to report even if you are a volunteer. The board requested further clarification as to mandated reporters, which will be brought back next month. AR 713, this AR now permits a community group to verify its status as a nonprofit in more than one way in order to access school facilities. The next policy committee meeting will be held on October 6th in this room. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Robinson. The following policies were reviewed for second reading. Policy AR 216, Administration of Student Records. Policy AR 915, School-Related Organizations of Parents and Professional Personnel. Are there questions? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Wait,
Oh.
sorry, I just have a question about that.
I'm sorry.
My understanding was we were tabling one of those. So
Are
we're
we
not
tabling one?
Yes. Correct. You're tabling.
Okay.
So the vote is to table one. and
So give me the
approve-
language, Mr. Bruce.
Sure. The motion is to approve the recommendations of the policy committee, including the, first reading for policy AR 200 and policy AR 202, and to table policy 216.
To approve 915.
And to approve 915.
So the motion then is to
Approve.
table 216
Table to,
and approve 915.
yes.
Okay. Are there questions? Thank you, Dr. O'Leary. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
There a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. So again, we're tabling 216 and we voted up 915. All right. The following policies were reviewed for a first reading. Policy AR 200, enrollment of students, and policy AR 202, non-resident pupils. So there's no additional voting required on that. Those are at a first reading status. We will now move to PSBA, yes. God, now I'm out of order. Hang on. Okay. Again, I want to thank Dr. O'Leary for doing due diligence on the board's behalf as our legislative chair around the candidates that are running for PSBA office. The administration recommends the Board of School Directors approves the endorsement of the following PSBA officers: David Hutchinson as president-elect, Eric Wolfgang as vice president, Mike Gossard as treasurer, and Michael Fascinetto and Marianne Neal as trustees. Are there questions? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
There a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We will now have audience recognition for agenda or non-agenda items. Again, if you could sign up with Ms. LaPera, there's a 3-minute time limit. If you could tell us your name and generally where you reside in the district. As you begin to speak, we'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Ruth Jenkin, and I live in Wynwood. I have a couple of questions. As was brought up, the Islamic Center if purchase of the Islamic Center will prevent multiple buildings, which would again add population to our schools. And the Ashbridge Park is a very well-used community playground, and it would be a shame to remove that from the community. The other thing that, just for general information, that a lot of people enter into education and teaching, not for the salaries, but for the dedication that they have towards helping students. Many years ago, my first salary was $4,400, paid once a month, no insurance, and I had to sign a non-communist oath when I started, to tell you how long ago that was. Through the years, of course, my salaries increased, my benefits were increased, and but that didn't impact my devotion to my teaching and to my students. That's just a little bit aside. The other question I wanted just to throw out was, do we have a position of sanctuary for DACA students?
There. But
no answer?
Here, the sanctuary, there's no sanctuary. What the district has is there's certain requirements and safeguards put in place for students who would be otherwise subject to investigation or being taken into custody by INS agents. So there's a whole set of rights that those students have, those non-resident students, which would, I guess, include DACA as well, but it isn't just those. So the answer is there are safeguards in place, but the school district's not like a designated sanctuary.
Okay, and where can we look at those safeguards?
We have this information presented from the Montgomery County Intermediate Unit. It can be provided upon request.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Natasha Davis, and I live in Penguin. I've spoken to you before, but tonight I'm going to read something from a neighbor of mine. Hi, my name is Jordan Landau. I'm a board member of the Penguin Civic Association. My daughter will be entering Lmsd next year as a kindergartner at Penguin Elementary School. I'm a graduate of the Lmsd and went to Marion Elementary and look back fondly on my time there. I know that there are tough decisions to be made regarding overcrowding of all elementary schools and secondary schools in the district. I look at Kenwood Elementary and see how having no real space to run looks. I hope you can exhaust all options before building onto Penguin Elementary School. Thank you.
Okay, I wanted to, there were a number of questions and information. Okay, please, quickly.
Rosa Sirota, Lower Merion. I think my question is sort of a complicated one, but I'm wondering what kind of long-range plan the board has in terms of student population and changes. Because this is not the first time that we've had overpopulation in the schools. I think it was 1984 when we had 79 school buses on the school complex. And we've closed a school in Penguin, Wynwood Road School. We've closed, I think, the Narber School. We've closed Lower Merion Ardmore Junior High School. And there must be a way to look at all of that together and sort of look at what's happening over time to maybe not exactly predict, but sort of get an idea of what's happening in the future and what we should be doing with our schools, whether we should be building more schools or we should find another way to handle this. I guess I'm looking for a long-range plan considering what I have just mentioned, because it seems to connect in some kind of way, and it's repetitive. Thank you.
Sure. So there's two basic things we take a look at. We look at our live birth cohorts, how many students are born in a particular time, and how many of those students end up on a percentage basis showing up in your schools. And then we ask our demographers to take a look at things such as new housing starts, and things like that. So for instance, I think there was a new apartment building called Royal Athena, is that it? And that now has 20 students in it. That didn't exist, 2 years ago. So, but they look at those, they see how many units are being built, and you try and make some plans based on that. And we hired 2 demographers to be able to take a look at that and see what happens. But beyond 5 years, you'd be speculating because you don't have actual live births to be able to say, here are the numbers of students. You've got economic factors that take place and so forth and that impinge. One of the things that's unusual about Lower Merion is we tend to get 2 in-migrations, one at the elementary. In first grade, students, because we have a half-day kindergarten, some students choose to stay out of the school so that they can have a full-day experience. We don't necessarily know who that's going to be until they show up as first graders. We just look at the trends. But the other thing that's really happening is we're getting more students coming in also at the secondary level. And that's an unusual situation. Whether it's they're choosing us over independent schools, whether it's because the cost of housing is such that you tend to have older children. So we look at short and long-term trends and use the expertise of our demographers to try and give us a sense as to where we go. The complicating matter in Lower Merion is that so much is built out and you don't really have an opportunity to say, okay, there's a big open place and we just go over here. It's got some complications. One of the things that we'll show on Monday is the number of places that we've looked at over the years. One of the things that was startling to me, because I wasn't here at the time, was simply to find a place to park buses seemed to have been a big to-do. And the list of places like that went on and on and on. So I hope you'll come back on Monday and we can talk some more about what that might look like.
Mr. Roos, Sunshine Act.
Certainly. Board held executive session last Monday evening, September 11th, to discuss collective bargaining, personnel, and also litigation matter. Board held executive session tonight to discuss collective bargaining and confidential student matter. Also, I just sent to Mr. Copeland and some others the information from the intermediate unit on what we need to know about immigrations and threat of deportation. So that everybody has that information.
Thank you, Mr. Roos. There were a number of questions raised and information given regarding the board's position on the LMEA contract. We sent a letter to all families in the district on September 7th. So that is on our website under news and announcements. So I'd encourage folks who wanted specific detail or who shared their particular position to take a look at that letter, which spells out pretty clearly where the board stands. For upcoming board meeting dates, as Mr. Copeland mentioned, this coming Monday, September 25th at what time, Ms. LaPera? 7 p.m., thank you. We'll have a public work session where we will unveil the needs assessment that Ms. Sirota just spoke about, where we are thinking of certainly long-term with demographer reports and really considering what our next steps are in terms of increased enrollment and our facility needs as a district. Monday, October 16th, we will have our education committee and supplementary regular board meeting. Monday, October 23rd, regular business board meeting, each of those at 8 p.m. Committee meeting dates, Wednesday, September 20th, communications at 8:30 a.m. Wednesday, October 2nd, curriculum committee.
That's Monday.
It's Monday. And is it October 2nd? So just the day is wrong? Okay. Monday, October 2nd, my apologies. Curriculum committee at 8:30 a.m. Friday, October 6th, policy, 8:30 a.m. Wednesday, October 18th, communication, 7 p.m. And Thursday, October 19th, facilities and purchasing, 8:30 a.m. So at this time, we're adjourned. Thank you for joining us.